Councillors?
The need to improve Hamilton public transportation is not news to anybody. It's not news to the mayor. It's not news to the premier. It's not news to council. I've been riding the bus since I was a little boy. I do not remember a time in my life when I was not an active HSR rider. I continue to ride the HSR bus every single day. And I am very grateful that I live in a city that gives me a bus to ride. I also know that the B line to McMaster at the heart of my ward, Ward 1, is crowded. We need to improve B line service, period. And this isn't the LRT debate. This is a much more short-term debate about next steps that we need to take. And I'm fully committed to improving B line service in the city. We need to rationalize our bus routes. We need to carefully study where the buses are going. We need to make sure that the buses are running along lines where there's going to be strong ridership, while of course, recognizing that there are communities where you won't have a full bus, but you still need a bus. Ultimately, what we need is more buses on the road. In my own ward, a project that I am fully determined to achieve within this term of council, and I'm doing everything I can to achieve this, is getting bus service, possibly in a minibus for reasons of economy, along Dundurn. Cable 14 Studio, where we're sitting right now, is one of their great businesses located on Dundurn. And it's a residential street and a commercial street. There are lots of senior citizens in the Dundurn neighborhood, both of the Strathcona end out toward Lake Ontario and in the Kirkendall end out toward the escarpment, who need to get to the Fortinos Plaza, which is right in the middle of Dundurn Street, but there is no bus to provide for them. This is a need. This is a good example of a bus route that we should be creating in Hamilton. And it's not a big deal because Dundurn is very small. But whereas some bus routes in the city are not well utilized, here in Ward 1, in the Dundurn Street community, there is a crying need for a new bus line. So those are the sorts of rationalizations we need to be thinking about. And when we do the Transportation Master Plan review process this year, that's one example of a project that we need to implement.
I haven't been on a bus in years, but I do remember
very bad.
the exact stop where the Lock Street bus downtown, and then it looped, and I thought it went up to the escarpment and circled, and that's where it would stop once upon a time.
Once upon a time.
A long time ago. So obviously at some point in time it was determined that the ridership wasn't strong enough, but that's something you're working on.
So exactly, there's a history of rationalization. We've reinvented our public transportation system in the past. There's no reason why we can't do it again. And when I say, too bad you haven't been riding the bus, my understanding is you're a city guy. In other words, if you were a rural guy, I might have some more sympathy. But as a city dweller, I think it's good to ride the bus. It's frankly easier. I know people don't think of it in that way, but parking is expensive. Parking is stressful. Driving itself is stressful.
But when you're a mountain guy,
sure,
parking in a massive parking lot
and mountain folks
is free.
You are so right, and thank you for making that point.
Going downtown,
you are so right.
I know where I can get the best rate on a meter if it's open, but for me, make it easier to come downtown with the parking. And it's the great debate, right? It goes on and on and on.
And we need better parking.
I spent many years in Toronto. I had to commute. I had to have a vehicle. And who doesn't want to have a vehicle where you can go beep, beep, and the engine starts 7 minutes before you get out there?
Yes.
And
by the way, thank you for making that point about the mountain. We don't provide adequate bus service to the mountain. That's a huge thing we need to create in the city. 100%. So we need to create more parking downtown, but we also need to create better public transportation links to get people throughout the city. And also, it's not just about bringing people to the downtown. It's about giving people in all parts of the Hamilton region the opportunity to travel to all other parts of the Hamilton region.
I heard many perspectives that came out of that presentation by the administration, by Chris Murray and his staff.